Captain Crix stood at the bridge of the merchant vessel Star Runner, watching the emergency lights flash red across every console. His ship floated helplessly in the void, 3 light years from the nearest trade station. The engine core had exploded 2 days ago, taking half their power systems with it. Now, even the life support was failing. "Captain, we have maybe 10 hours of oxygen left," said his navigator. Vel, the blue-skinned alien's 4 eyes showed deep worry. "The distress beacon is still working, but nobody will reach us in time." Crix nodded slowly. His crew of 20 had already accepted their fate. In the galactic community, losing your engine core meant death. No species had the technology to conduct deep space rescues this far from civilization. The mathematics were simple and cruel. Rescue ships needed weeks to reach them, but they had only hours. "Should we record final messages for our families?" asked Tam, the youngest crew member. His green scales had turned pale with fear. "Yes," Crix replied. "Tell them we faced the end with honor." The crew gathered in the main hall, sharing their remaining food and water. They told stories of their home worlds, sang old songs, and tried to laugh despite everything. This was how spacers died, together with dignity. Then Vel rushed in, his tentacles waving frantically. "Captain, a ship just appeared on our sensors." "Impossible," Crix said. "No ship can travel that fast. It just appeared like it folded." "Space itself. The design is strange. I've never seen anything like it." The crew hurried to the observation deck. Outside, a massive vessel hung in space, painted in white and blue colors. Strange symbols marked its hull. UES Phoenix, United. Earth Rescue. "Earth?" Tam whispered. "You mean ... humans?" Everyone knew about humans. The newest species to join the galactic community, only 50 years ago. Other races whispered about them, how they were reckless, emotional, and ignored basic safety rules. How they did impossible things just because someone said they couldn't. Most species avoided them, finding their behavior unpredictable and dangerous. "They're sending a message," Vel announced, switching on the communicator. A human face appeared on screen, a dark-skinned male with short hair and kind eyes. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain James of the rescue ship Phoenix. We received your distress signal. Hold tight. We're coming to get you." "Captain James," Crix responded, his voice shaking. "Our situation is hopeless. We have no power, failing life support, and our hull is compromised." "Save yourselves the risk," the human actually smiled. "Captain, with respect, you just used the wrong word with humans. You said hopeless. That's basically a challenge for us. My crew is already suiting up. We'll have you secured in 30 minutes. 30 minutes? Crix couldn't believe it. Our own rescue protocols require at least 6 hours for a standard docking procedure. Yeah, well, Captain James grinned wider. Humans don't really do standard. We prefer the fun way. Just try to keep your people calm when they see what we're about to do. The communication ended. Crix and his crew watched in amazement as the human ship moved with impossible grace. Small craft launched from its hull, not the careful, slow rescue pods that galactic standards required, but fast, agile vehicles that danced through space. They're not even using computer guidance, Vel said in shock, watching his instruments. Those pilots are flying manually. That's insane. But it was working. The human craft attached to their hull with magnetic clamps, creating emergency airlocks in minutes instead of hours. Soon, humans in bulky white suits were swarming over the Star Runner, patches and equipment in hand. A human woman appeared at their main airlock, removing her helmet to reveal red hair and a face full of freckles. Hi there. I'm Lieutenant Jones. We're here to help. First thing, let's get you folks some oxygen. Can't have our new friends suffocating on our watch. As the humans worked, Crix noticed something strange. They were humming, singing, even joking with each other. They treated this deadly situation like it was ... fun. Don't they understand the danger? Tam asked, quietly. An older human working on a power coupling overheard and laughed. Oh, we understand fine. We just don't let danger stop us. Where we come from, impossible is just another word for interesting. Asterisk within an hour, the Star Runner had emergency power restored. The humans had somehow jerry-rigged a connection between their ship and the alien vessel, feeding energy through cables that looked handmade rather than manufactured. Crix watched as human engineers crawled through maintenance shafts that were never designed for their body shape, adapting their equipment on the fly. This is impossible, said Gorn, the ship's chief engineer. His 6 arms gestured at the improvised repairs. These connections violate 12 different safety protocols. The power compatibility alone should have caused an explosion. A human engineer, covered in grease and grinning widely, popped out of a service hatch. Hey, green guy. Yeah, it probably should explode. That's why I added this. He held up a device made from what looked like spare parts and tape. I call it a universal adapter. Made it myself last week. Made it? Without proper testing? Without certification? Gorn's voice rose in pitch. Testing? The human laughed. This is the test. And look, it's working great. Indeed, the lights throughout the ship were coming back online. Life support hummed back. To life. The crew of the Star Runner could breathe easily again, though they remained stunned by what they were witnessing. Captain James appeared in their bridge, datapad in hand. Okay, Captain Crix. Good news and interesting news. Good news. We've stabilized your ship. You're not dying today. Interesting news. Your engine core is completely fried, but my engineer thinks he can build you a temporary one. Build an engine core? Crix's mandibles clicked in disbelief. That requires a shipyard, specialized equipment, months of work, or, Captain James interrupted, one very creative human with too much coffee and a point to prove. Mike, get in here. A young human bounded into the bridge, practically vibrating. With energy. Captain, I've got an idea. Their engine housing is intact, right? So we don't need to build a whole new core. We just need something that generates similar power output. And, James asked, clearly enjoying this, we've got 3 spare fusion reactors for our landing craft. If I wire them together with some creative programming, add a magnetic field generator from our cargo bay, and maybe borrow some parts from our coffee machine. Not the coffee machine, James said firmly. That's where I draw the line. Fine, the backup coffee machine then. Point is, I can make something that'll get them to the nearest station. Vel stepped forward, his 4 eyes wide. You want to build an engine core from landing craft parts. And a coffee machine? Backup coffee machine, Mike corrected. And yes, it won't be pretty, and it definitely won't pass any inspections, but it'll work. How can you be sure? Crix asked. Mike shrugged. I'm not, but I'm like 90% confident. Maybe 80, 75 at minimum. That's not reassuring. Tam said weakly. Look, Captain James said, becoming serious for a moment. Here's the thing about humans. We've been doing impossible things since we discovered fire. We flew before we should have been able to fly. We went to space using computers, less powerful than our current wristwatches. We solve problems by throwing crazy ideas at them until something sticks. And right now, your choices are, let us try our crazy solution, or float here until your luck runs out. Crix looked at his crew. They were all alive, breathing, warm. Things that had seemed impossible just hours ago. Do it, he said. The humans cheered and got to work. Over the next 6 hours, Crix watched them perform what could only be described as engineering madness. They cut, welded, programmed, and somehow convinced technologies from different species to work together. They sang songs while they worked, told jokes during the most dangerous procedures, and ate sandwiches while handling radioactive materials. Don't they have any fear? Gorn asked, watching a human technician dangle upside down in an access tunnel, humming an earth tune while rewiring critical systems. Lieutenant Jones, who was helping to coordinate the repairs, overheard. Oh, we have plenty of fear. We just don't let it make decisions for us. Fear says, don't do that. We say, but what if we did it anyway? That's how we got to space in the first place. By ignoring fear, by being more curious than scared, by caring more about helping than being safe. She smiled. Your distress signal said you had families waiting for you. That's all we needed to know. The rest is just problem solving. As the improvised engine came online with a sound that was definitely not standard, Crix realized he was witnessing something remarkable. Not just human engineering, but the human spirit itself. Chaotic, illogical, and absolutely unstoppable. Asterisk. The makeshift engine sputtered to life with a sound that made every alien crew member flinch. It wheezed, coughed, and produced a vibration that seemed to argue with the laws of physics. But the power readings were stable, and the ship began to move. It sounds like it's dying, Vel observed, his tentacles covering where his ears would be. Nah, that's just personality, Mike said proudly, patting a console. I call her Frankenstein's baby. She ain't pretty, but she get you home. Before they could depart, another alarm sounded, this time from the human ship. Captain Jane's expression turned serious as he read the alert. Well, folks, we've got company. 3 pirate vessels just dropped out of hyperspace. Probably been waiting for distress signals. Crix felt his heart sink. Pirates were the vultures of space, preying on damaged ships. We should surrender. Perhaps they'll take the cargo and leave us alive. Captain James looked at him like he'd suggested something. Absurd. Surrender? But you haven't even tried fighting yet. We're a merchant vessel. We have no weapons, and even if we did, we're outgunned 3-1. James mused, then activated his communicator. Phoenix crew, we've got unfriendlies. 3 pirate vessels. What do you think? A chorus of voices responded over the comm. All variations of excitement and enthusiasm. Someone actually whooped. That's what I thought, James grinned. Battle stations, people. Let's show our new friends how humans handle bullies. The Phoenix moved with surprising speed for such a large vessel. But what happened next shocked everyone on the Star Runner. Instead of fighting, the human ship began, broadcasting on all frequencies. Attention pirate vessels. Captain James' voice boomed through space. This is Captain James of the UES Phoenix. The vessel you're approaching is under human protection. You have 10 seconds to change course. The pirates responded with weapons fire. Well, James sighed dramatically. We tried being nice. Jones, execute Plan B. Which Plan B, sir? We have like 12. The fun one. What followed was the most bizarre space battle Crix had ever witnessed. The Phoenix didn't just fight, it performed. The human ship danced between laser fire, its pilot, executing maneuvers that should have torn the hull apart. Smaller human craft launched from the Phoenix, flying in patterns that seemed random, but somehow worked perfectly. One human pilot actually flew his craft directly at a pirate ship, pulling away at the last second and causing the pirates to fire on each other in confusion. Another pilot was broadcasting music, loud, aggressive Earth music, while spinning his craft in circles around enemy fire. Are they enjoying this? Tam asked in disbelief. They were. The human crew treated the deadly battle like a sport. They kept score, made bets, and someone was apparently trying to draw a smiley face with laser fire on a pirate hull. But beneath the chaos was brilliant strategy. The humans weren't just fighting randomly. They were hurting the pirates, using their apparent insanity to disguise calculated moves. Within minutes, 2 pirate ships were disabled, their weapon systems surgically destroyed while leaving life support intact. The 3rd pirate tried to flee. The Phoenix responded by doing something impossible. It jumped to hyperspace for exactly 2 seconds, reappearing directly in the pirate's path. Did they just use a hyperspace jump as a tactical maneuver? Gorn asked, his 6 arms waving in agitation. That's never been done. The calculations alone. Our navigation computer couldn't handle it. Lieutenant Jones explained, still calm despite the battle. So our pilot did it manually. Manually? The last pirate surrendered immediately. As the Phoenix secured the defeated ships, Captain James returned to the Star Runner's bridge. Sorry about the noise. Pirates really bring out our competitive side. Anyway, we'll escort you to the station. Should be a quiet trip now. You saved us, Crick said slowly. Twice. We have no way to repay this. Repay? James looked genuinely confused. Why would you need to repay us? You were in trouble. We could help. That's just what you do. Most species would have calculated the risk and stayed away. Yeah, well, James shrugged. Humans are really bad at that kind of math. We see someone in trouble, we help. It's kind of our thing. As the 2 ships began their journey to the station, the Star Runner crew slowly began to relax. The young Tam approached Lieutenant Jones with a question that had been bothering him. Why do humans take such risks for strangers? Jones thought. For a moment. You know what the first human in space said? Let's go. Not, this is dangerous, or what if something goes wrong? Just, let's go. That's who we are. We go. We help. We try. Because if we don't, who will? Asterisk the journey to orbital. Station 7 took 3 days. During that time, the Star Runner crew witnessed more impossible human behavior. The humans shared their food freely, even though supplies were limited. They taught alien crew members card games that seemed to have no consistent rules. They fixed things that weren't broken, just to make them better. Mike, the engineer, spent 12 straight hours teaching Gorn's apprentices how to improvise repairs. See, the manual says you need this specific part, he explained, holding up a complex component. But if you think about what it actually does, you can make one from these 6 simpler parts and some creative wiring. But that's not approved. It's not safe, one apprentice protested. Safe is relative, Mike grinned. Sometimes the safest thing is the thing that works right now, approval or not. When they finally approached the station, word of their arrival had somehow spread. Ships of all types had gathered to see the human vessel that had done the impossible, a deep space rescue beyond the reach of any conventional help. The station commander, a tall insectoid named Brokerzek, personally came to meet them. His compound eyes studied the humans with mixture of respect and bewilderment. Captain James, Zek buzzed formally, the entire station has heard of your rescue. You saved 20 lives that were considered lost. Just doing our job, James replied simply. Your job? Zek's antennae twitched. Humans don't have an official rescue service in this sector. Every human ship is a rescue ship when someone needs help, James said. That's just how we're built. The Star Runner was guided to a repair dock, where proper engineers swarmed to examine the improvised engine. Their scanners went wild trying to understand how it worked. This shouldn't function, the lead engineer stated flatly. It violates 37 principles of engine design. But it does function, Mike pointed out cheerfully. That's the beautiful part. It's held together with adhesive strips and hope. Hey, I used premium adhesive strips. And hope is a perfectly valid engineering tool when used correctly. Captain Crix gathered his crew for a formal goodbye. According to tradition, they should have offered payment or pledged a debt of service. But James had repeatedly refused any compensation. "Before you leave," Crix said, "I must ask one more question. Your species is young to space travel. You've been among the stars for barely 50 years. How did you develop such advanced rescue capabilities?" Captain James laughed, but it wasn't mocking. It was warm, inclusive. "Want to know a secret? We didn't develop them for space. Every technique we used, we learned on our own planet. Deep sea rescues, mountain climbing, disaster relief. We've been saving each other from impossible situations for thousands of years. Space is just the newest place to do it. But the risks, let me tell you about humans," James said, gathering both crews around. "We're not the strongest species. We're not the smartest. We don't have the best technology. But we have something else. We have the absolute, unshakable belief that every life matters, that no one gets left behind. That impossible is just an opinion." He paused, looking at each alien face. "On Earth, we have stories of people who walked through blizzards to save strangers, who dove into raging waters to pull out someone they'd never met, who ran into burning buildings because someone might be inside. This isn't heroism to us. It's Tuesday." "That's insane," someone whispered. "Maybe," Jones added with a smile. "But it's the kind of insane that saves lives." As the Phoenix prepared to depart, something unexpected happened. Other ships in the station began flashing their lights, a universal sign of respect. Soon, every vessel in dock was doing it, creating a constellation of gratitude. Young Tam ran forward suddenly, pressing something into Lieutenant Jones' hand. It was his family token, a small crystal that glowed with inner light. "This is precious to you," Jones protested. "You gave us our lives." "Back," Tam said simply. "Please." So we never forget that when we were adrift and doomed, humans came. The Phoenix left the station with its crew, singing another of their strange Earth songs. The Star Runner crew stood at the observation windows, watching until the human ship jumped to hyperspace in that impossible way of theirs. "Do you think we'll see them again?" Val asked. Crix thought about the humans, their chaos, their kindness, their absolutely insane approach to problem-solving. "The universe is vast, but somehow, I think if we ever need them, they'll find a way to be there, even if it's impossible, especially if it's impossible." 6 months after the rescue, Captain Crix found himself in the Grand Council chamber on the capital station of the Galactic Alliance. He had been summoned to give testimony about the human rescue, as more and more stories of similar events were emerging from across known space. The council chamber was filled with representatives from every major species. At the center sat Elder Thax, whose species had been traveling the stars for over 3,000 years. "Captain Crix," Elder Thax began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Your report about the humans has been difficult to believe. You claim they performed a deep space rescue using improvised equipment?" "Yes, Elder. They built a functional engine from spare parts, and what they called a backup coffee machine." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "And they engaged 3 pirate vessels alone?" "And 1, Elder, while appearing to enjoy themselves." More murmurs, louder this time. Elder Thax raised a tendril for silence. "We have received similar reports from 17 different sectors. Humans performing impossible rescues. Humans fighting overwhelming odds to protect strangers. Humans sharing resources even when it endangers them. The question this council must answer is, what do we do about the humans?" "What do you mean, do about?" "Them?" Crix asked, surprised. "They are chaos incarnate, Another council member interjected. They ignore safety protocols, laugh at danger, and their very presence disrupts order. Before Crix could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Captain James walked in, still wearing his casual uniform instead of formal diplomatic attire. Behind him, Lieutenant Jones was eating what appeared to be a sandwich. "Sorry we're late," James announced cheerfully. "Got a distress call on the way here. Had to make a quick detour to pull some folks out of an asteroid field. You know how it is. U. Delayed a council summons for a rescue?" Elder Thax seemed stunned. "People needed help," James shrugged, as if this explained everything. "Captain James," Elder Thax recovered his composure. "This council has concerns about humanity's reckless behavior in space." "Reckless?" James looked genuinely puzzled. "We haven't lost a single person we've tried to rescue." "But your methods work," Jones interrupted, finishing her sandwich. "Our methods work." Another council member, a crystalline being named Sylar, chimed in. "You cannot simply ignore galactic protocols because they inconvenience you." "We don't ignore them," James clarified. "We just adapt them. Look, different species have different strengths, right? Some of you can calculate hyperspace jumps in your heads. Some can survive in vacuum. Some can see colors we can't even imagine." He paused, looking around the room. "Humans? We're really good at not giving up. We're good at looking at impossible situations and saying, let's try. Anyway, and we're exceptionally good at caring about people we've never met." "That's not a strength," Sylar argued. "It's a weakness." "It makes you vulnerable." "Does it?" James asked. He'd pulled out a holoprojector and activated it. Images filled the chamber. Human rescue ships at disaster sites. Human medics treating alien injuries. Human engineers fixing stations after accidents. "In 6 months," James continued, "human crews have saved over 3,000 lives. We've prevented 2 ecological disasters, stopped a plague outbreak by delivering medicine through a meteor storm everyone else said was impassable. And yes, we fought off pirates 43 times. The images kept cycling. Humans and aliens, working together. Celebrations after successful rescues. Children of dozen species playing with human crew members. "But here's what you're missing," James said, his voice growing passionate. "Every species we've helped has started helping others too. Captain Crix here? His crew rescued a stranded family last month using techniques our engineer taught them. The pattern is spreading." Crix stood up. "It's true. The humans showed us something we'd forgotten. That impossible is just an excuse not to try." More representatives stood up, sharing similar stories. The humans hadn't just saved lives. They'd inspired a change in how species treated each other. Elder Thax raised his tendrils again. "Captain James, what does humanity want from the galaxy?" James smiled. "Friends, adventures, really good coffee. Our backup machine is getting worn out, but mostly, we want a galaxy where nobody dies alone in the dark because help was too far away or too dangerous to send. And if this council decides human methods are too disruptive?" James and Jones exchanged glances. Then James grinned. "With respect, Elder, good luck stopping us from helping people. We're humans. Stubborn is kind of our thing." The council voted that day to create the Galactic Rescue Initiative, with humans as the leading coordinators. Not because they had to, but because the alternative, trying to stop humans from rescuing people, seemed genuinely impossible. As Crix left the chamber, he found James and Jones waiting outside. "Thank you for speaking up in there," James said. "Thank you for saving my crew," Crix replied. "For showing us that impossible doesn't mean impossible. Just means it hasn't been done yet," Jones added with a wink. Looking back, Crix realized that the day the humans arrived wasn't just the day his crew was saved. It was the day the galaxy learned that sometimes The most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or weapons or ancient wisdom. Sometimes it's just someone willing to help, no matter what dot, and in the vast darkness of space where death waited in every shadow and the distances between stars felt infinite. That human willingness to say, "We're coming to get you," became the most precious resource of all dot. The galaxy had been cold and calculating, each species alone in their own safety protocols. But the humans brought something new, the warm, chaotic, absolutely unstoppable belief that everyone deserved to make it home. And so the legend spread from station to station, ship to ship. When you were adrift and doomed, when all hope was lost, when the mathematics of survival reached zero, look for the humans. They'll come. They always come, because that's what humans do.